dear student, and this is social science for the standard 6th civics term 3. The topic is the democracy, and we are going to learn the meaning of democracy and then aims of democracy, structure of democracy, and also the types of a democracy and also the world democracy. Okay. Today many countries of the world follow different types of a government, but the modern world prefers a democracy type of government. And before entering into our chapter democracy, we must know the meaning of government. Okay. What is government? Listen here, listen carefully. Government means a group of people with authority govern state or a country. Okay. Listen, and again I am explaining about the meaning of government. Government means group of people with authority govern state or a country, and then and also there are different forms of a government followed by many countries in the world. And what are the different forms of the government? They are the aristocracy, monarchy, autocracy, oligarchy, and theocracy, democracy. And students, I will explain you about the meaning of these different forms of a government. First, aristocracy. What is aristocracy? Here aristocracy means it is a system of government by highest state of certain society. Okay, have you understand? Aristocracy means a system of government by the highest class of certain societies. In Tamil we may say that as a Prabhutvam, that is the people, call that people as a Prabhukal. Okay. And the next, monarchy, that you already know very well. It is monarchy means the system of government by king, queen or the emperors. Okay. In Tamil we say that as a Mannarachi. Okay. And once upon a time our country India is also ruled by kings and queens. Okay. And then next types of autocracy, it is a system of government by one person with the absolute power. Okay. Tamil we say that as a Sarvadhigaram. And the next is that oligarchy. Oligarchy means it is also a system of government by which a group of people rule the country or a state. Okay. In Tamil we say that as a Tannalakulu. Okay. And then next is that theocracy. Okay. What is theocracy? It is also a system of government ruled by the priest, okay, in the names of a god. The main object of this theocracy is that to spread the religion throughout the world. And the last is that democracy. And democracy, this is the system of government by the people. In Tamil we may say that Jananayagam. Okay, have you understand the different forms of a government? What are the different forms of the government? Aristocracy, monarchy and autocracy, oligarchy, theocracy and democracy. Okay, student. And before entering into our chapter democracy, we have to know one thing. Do you know what type of the society, what kind of the societies does the yearlymen live in olden days? In the beginning, the yearlymen, they were the hunters and they gathered for the food. Then they later settled near the riverside and they learnt agriculture. Okay. After learning agriculture, they started to live in a groups and tribes were also formed and they had their own leaders. Okay. And these groups fought among themselves for land, water and other resources. And those groups who won that battle, they annexed the kingdom and form a monarchy, that is, and they form a government called, that is, kingdom. They form a kingdom rules. Okay. They create a emperor rule. That is, this is how the monarchy system of government emerged in the world. Okay. Have you understand how the monarchy form of government entered in the world? and I already told that India is also ruled by kings, queens and emperors, and I already told you that India is also ruled by kings and queens. That is called as what type of the government? Please remember and tell me that answer for that question. Yes, it is a monarchy form of government. Here the kings, queens ruled our country, and after it came under the British rule. After a long struggle, we got independence and we follow the democracy form of government. After independence, we follow the democracy form of government. Okay, now we enter into our chapter democracy, and it is the time to know about what is democracy. Okay, have you know what is the birthplace of a democracy? Okay, listen, the birthplace of democracy is Greece, the country Greece. Okay, now listen, here the democracy is derived from two Greek words. Okay, two Greek words, that is demos, which means people, and kratia, which means power. Therefore, democracy means the powers of a people. Okay, that is India got, that is after independence, India following that democracy form of government. That means the citizens of a country will select the representatives, the elected member, they will take part in the governance of the country, and this is termed as a democracy. Have you all understand the meaning for democracy? And then listen, so that Abraham Lincoln, you know that Abraham Lincoln, listen here, that Abraham Lincoln was one of a former president of USA. He gives the definition for the concept of democracy. So according to him, democracy means government of a people, by the people, for the people. Okay, what is the definition of Abraham Lincoln? And who was Abraham Lincoln? Yes, he was a former president of USA. Okay, and according to him, what is the definition of democracy means? Government of a people, by the people, for a people. Okay, from the definition itself, we can understand the meaning of democracy. So, from the definition, we can understand democracy is a form of government which allows the people to choose their ruler. Okay, what is democracy? Democracy is a form of government which allows the people to select their ruler. Okay, and then next we are moving to the types of a democracy. Okay, there are two types of the democracy. They are direct democracy and indirect democracy. Okay, and we have to understand the meaning for what is direct democracy and indirect democracy. And indirect democracy is also called as a representative democracy or cabinet democracy. Okay, what is direct democracy? Here in the direct democracy, people will involve in the decision making by themselves. Okay, the people themselves involve in decision making on public affairs. Okay, only this people can make a law. Okay, for example, the country Switzerland is following the direct democracy form of government successfully. Okay, take for example, if in Switzerland the country is passing an issue, that is constructing the building for a school, then the people gathered at a particular places. Okay, listen carefully. The people gathered at a particular places and they themselves discuss about that issue provided by the government, and they provide their solution, and the government will take into consideration the majority solution given by the people. Okay, have you understand the direct democracy? In the direct democracy, the people directly involved in the decision making on public affairs. Okay, have you understand about the direct democracy? So, the example is that the country Switzerland is following the direct democracy successfully. Okay, and then once upon in the ancient time, the country Athens, okay, which is the capital city of Greece, they also followed that direct democracy, but in course of time, Okay, this direct democracy began to decline, and nowadays they are also following that indirect democracy. Okay, student. And then next we are going to discuss about indirect democracy. What is indirect democracy? Here the people show their acceptance on the public affairs through their representatives, through their elected representatives. Okay, have you understand? Here indirect democracy, the people view their acceptance, okay, on public affairs through their elected representatives, and the representatives are elected through the election. Okay, have you understand the difference between direct democracy and indirect democracy? And example for the indirect democracy is that country like India and then England, they are following that indirect democracy form of government. Okay, and then next we are going to see about that forms of a indirect democracy. Here that indirect democracy, which is also called as a representative democracy, takes in two forms. What are the two forms of indirect democracy? Presidential form of democracy and then parliamentary form of democracy. Here next we are going to discuss about parliamentary form of democracy. What is parliamentary form of democracy? Listen, our country India is following a parliamentary form of democracy. Listen, the political party getting majority seats in the federal election. Okay, the political party which gets a majority seats in the election, that political party forms a government, and the elected members, they will have their head, they will select a leader of the political party, and he acts as a prime minister, and here the prime minister will select the cabinet minister for the parliamentary houses. We are going to learn parliamentary form of democracy. What is parliamentary form of democracy? That is, country like India and England are following that parliamentary form of democracy. Listen, here parliamentary form of democracy means the political party, okay, the political party who gets a majority seat in the federal election, okay, they forms the government, and the leader of the political party is selected by that elected members of the council of ministers, and he acts as a prime minister, and this prime minister is responsible for the council of ministers in the parliamentary houses. Okay, the parliamentary houses, we are having the two types of the houses, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Here the prime minister is responsible for that parliamentary houses. For each and every activities, he has to responsible and he has to provide the answer for the questions arises from the parliament houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. That Lok Sabha is also called as a people's house, because in the Lok Sabha the members are elected by directly by the people. So Lok Sabha is called as a house of the people. Okay, student, and we had understand about the parliamentary form of democracy. And the next, presidential form of democracy. Here the country like USA, Canada, they are following that presidential form of democracy. And here president is the chief executive, in which they are directly elected by the people. Okay, they are not responsible for any parliamentary houses. Okay, have you understand that parliamentary form of democracy and presidential form of democracy? Okay, student, and I am sure that you are clear about the democracy and the types of the democracy and also the forms of the representative democracy. And then next we are going to discuss about democracy decision making. Okay, listen, what is meant by democratic decision making? In an assembly, if they are going to pass any issue on public affairs means, then the leader will not take a decision on the public affairs. Okay, all the members of that assembly, okay, hold upon open discussion about the affairs, and their final decisions will be provided by all the members. Then the leader will take the final decision only when all the members, that is everyone, is satisfied with that decision. Okay, have you understand about the decision making? Once again I am saying that, listen, here if any decision on the public affairs will not be taken by the leader, okay, in the assembly. All the members in the assembly take part in the discussion and they provide their decision, and the leader will take the decision only when everyone is convinced with that. That is called as a decision, democratic decision making. Okay, and our country India is following a democratic form of government successfully. Okay, and then do you know how it is possible for our country India to follow the democracy form of government successfully? And are there any rules and regulations are framed by our government? Okay, yes, there are many rules and regulations are framed by our constitution. Yes, I think you are understand that we are entering into the topic constitution. Okay, listen here, many rules and regulations are framed by our Indian constitution. Okay, why they framed that many rules and regulation by the Indian constitution? Because India is a highly populated country, so that people wanted to live a peaceful life. So they have to follow a rules and regulation, powers and responsibilities in properly. Hence, Indian constitution guides in all aspects and it plays an important role in making law and order for success of a democratic form of government in our country. Okay, here that Indian constitution is responsible for creating a law and order for our country. Okay, student, and next we are going to know what is constitution. Okay, what is constitution? Listen, here the constitution means it is a comprehensive document which contains a rules and regulation and duties and rights of a citizen by which the entire country is regulated. Okay, listen, what is in a constitution? Constitution means comprehensive document which provides a law and order, duties and responsibilities of a citizen by which the entire country is regulated. Okay, following that rules and regulation, our country is regulated. Okay, now listen, here this Indian constitution, it consists of a unique features, but many of the features have been borrowed from other countries like Australia and then USA, Japan, Canada. Okay, when we celebrate our Republic Day, when do we celebrate Republic Day? That is January 26. Every year we are celebrating Republic Day. And what is the reason for celebrating Republic Day on January 26? Okay, listen, even though we got independence on 1947, our Indian constitution came into force on January 26, 1950. So that is the reason we are celebrating Republic Day on January 26. Okay, student, and I think you are clear about Indian constitution. And next we are going to discuss about the features of a Indian constitution. Okay, listen, here the features of our, that is our constitution consists of a salient features. Okay, and what are the most important features of our constitution? It explains, it provides a political principles and the structure of a government institution and also methods to follow these rules and regulation and also rights and responsibilities, and also it fixes the rights and duties and directive principles of the citizens, and these are the important features of our constitution. Okay, now listen, how you understand the features of our constitution? Okay, what is the main features of the constitution? It defines the political principles and the structure of the government institution and also methods to follow these rules and regulation, powers and responsibilities. Also it fixes the rights and duties and directive principles of a citizen. So thus our constitution provides a structure to us. Okay, so following this our constitution, our country India is running the democratic form of government very successfully. Okay, student. And next we are going to discuss about aims of this democracy. What are the aims of a democracy? We can discuss the most important aims of a democracy. And the people should, the first aim of a democracy is that the people should have right to take decisions in the public affairs. Okay, this is the most important objectives of the democracy. And then the representatives are elected through the universal adult franchise, okay, by the people. Okay, what is the meaning of that universal adult franchise? This means the people who attain the age of 18, they had a right to vote in the election. So, the people elect the representatives through the universal adult franchise by the people. Okay, and then people, the representative, they had a responsibility to protect the welfare of the people. These are the most important aims of a democracy. Okay, so what are all the aims of a democracy? First is that people should have right to take the decisions, and the representative governments elected by the people through the universal adult franchise, and last is that representatives should protect the welfare of the people. Okay, and these are the most important objectives of democracy. Okay, and then okay, listen, now we are going to discuss about that world democracy. Listen, New Zealand is the first country to allow the women to vote in 1893 in election, and voting rights to women were given in the country UK in the year 1918, and in the year 1920 the USA allowed the women to vote in the election. Okay, in our country India, the people who attain the age of 18, that is 18 years of age, they enjoy the universal adult franchise. Okay, what is the meaning of the universal adult franchise? Okay, that is the people who attain the age of 18, they had a right to vote in the election without any discrimination like caste, color, rich, poor. Okay, there is no discrimination at all. Okay, the people who attain 18 years of age, they had a right to vote in the election. Okay, and this is about that world democracy. And also that world statistical data, they declare that nearly 79% of a Indian citizen, they had a faith in their democratic system. So, India rank first among the democratic country in the world. Okay, in which place India stands? India stands first among the democratic country in the world. And also the UNO, okay, the General Assembly, resolved to observe September 15th as a International Day of Democracy. Okay, student, and I think you are clear about the democracy and also the constitution and structure of constitution and also that classification of a democracy. And now we are coming to the conclusion, that is from this chapter we have learned that democratic government can be successful through the basic values of democratic like, that is equality, freedom and social justice. Okay. Okay, let us recall the lesson again. First we discuss about what is government and what is government. Government is a group of people with authority, they rule that state or a country. And then we also discuss about the different forms of a government. What are the different forms of government? Aristocracy, and then monarchy, and then autocracy, and then oligarchy, and then theocracy, and then last is the democracy. Next we had discussed about the types of a democracy. What are the types of a democracy? There are two types of a democracy. They are direct democracy and indirect democracy. Direct democracy means the people directly involved in the decision making on public affairs. And what is indirect democracy? The people show their acceptance through the elected representatives. And in the indirect democracy, we had that two forms, that is parliamentary form of government and then presidential form. First we discuss about our Indian Constitution, and Indian Constitution, it is drafted by Dr. Ambedkar, and he was also called as a father of Indian Constitution, and he was the first law minister of independence India, and it is a longest constitution in the world. We discuss about the features of a constitution, and then features of a constitution, it explains the political principles and law and regulations and duties and responsibilities, and also fixes that what are the rights and duties of a citizens, and which is necessary for the success of a democratic country. And we discuss about aims of democracy. Here the most important aims is that people should have right to take the decision, and the representative, they have to protect the welfare of the people, and how the representatives are elected means by the people through the universal adult franchise. And then next we discuss about that world democracy. Here that world democracy means New Zealand is the first country to accept women to vote in the election. In which year? In 1893. And that UK and USA, they accepted women to vote in the year 1918 by UK and 1920 by USA. And then world statistical data, they provide the declares that nearly 79% of the Indian people, they are very faithful in their democracy, and so that India stands first among the democratic country in the world. And then when we are observing that International Day of Democracy, that means that is UNO General Assembly resolved to observe 15th September as International Day of Democracy. And then from this chapter we understand that for the successful democracy, the citizens should follow the basic values of this equality and then freedom and then social justice. Okay, student. Shall I ask some question from this lesson? Okay, student. And what are the different forms of government? It is oligarchy, and then aristocracy, autocracy, theocracy, democracy. And then what are the types of a democracy? Okay, good. There are two types of democracy, direct and indirect democracy. And then who was called father of Indian Constitution? Dr. Ambedkar called as a father of Constitution. So today class we discuss about democracy, and you are also very clear about the democracy, and next class we can